Well, thank you all for joining us, and welcome to the AFC Vacations Virtual Travel Show. I am your host, Will Reece, and I'm the marketing rep for AFC. Our March and April brochures have just hit mailboxes in the last week or so. So if you recognize that main image there, that's from the Cape Cod, out for some of our great summer programs. But we are excited to bring you a number of great trips for our summer tours and feature a number of national parks and incredible sightseeing. The itineraries we have are comprehensive and very diverse in destinations and experiences. But it's been an incredible year so far, and it just keeps getting better with these upcoming tours. The departures I'll cover are primarily North American based, both in the US and Canada, and we'll touch on some great areas of America like Maine, Pennsylvania, Washington, Colorado, and more. Now, what's included with a AFC tour? First and foremost, what we do are worldwide tours and cruises. We do trips all around the world in different travel styles. And so the most popular are our Unpack Once tours. These are trips that settle into one hotel for your entire stay and then go out each and every day from that one property. And these allow you to experience all the different areas around the central hub. So really popular to allow you to relax and settle in. And then we also do different train trips around the world, whether it's over in Europe or through our national parks. Up in Canada, we have a couple of different great train trips as well. And then our European river cruises are some of the most popular trips, and those are selling out really quickly. It's great to see. So what else is included? Well, first and foremost is round-trip airfare. So that's included in the price when you look at our brochure. That's noted in the bottom left corner of the pages for each departure. We also include home pickup. So if you're within 40 miles of your airport, we pick you up at your door and take you to the airport and back. Home pickup is a huge advantage to you as a traveler and makes things so much easier to get to and from the airport. Our tour managers are some of the best in the industry. They're helpful, organized, and they really do care about maximizing your travel experience. And they're very genuine people that really know what they're talking about. They do the research and try to maximize your tour. And the hotels, activities, and dining that we provide give you a great taste of local life, a lot of great regional specialties in the meals we incorporate, and then cultural experiences in many of those meals as well, whether it's Hawaii and the luau's or our national parks and some of those great chuck wagon suppers. And we also incorporate some great, well-located and comfortable hotel properties and some fantastic sightseeing as well. Now, we have a couple of different guarantees. We have guaranteed pricing. That means that once your deposit is paid on your tour, your price is locked in. So even as fuel prices change for motor coaches and river cruise ships, we absorb that cost and don't pass it on to you. So that's what you can come to expect from us at AFC. And so make sure you secure your pricing with the deposit as soon as possible. We also have guaranteed departures. So when you see the GD symbol in the brochure and on the show, that just means we have enough passengers on that departure to run, and you don't have to worry about that one getting canceled. As we move through the year, you'll see more and more of these programs going to guaranteed status. And the next step after that is that these trips do sell out. And we have seen a huge number of our tours already sell out for the year. So whether it's domestic, international, or our European river cruises. So please don't wait. If you do see a tour on your list that's something you want to check off, don't wait to book. These are going quickly. I mentioned that home pickup service. We pick you up at your door, take you to the airport and back. It's included at a 40-mile range from your airport, and then there's also an option to add it if it's beyond that with a little additional cost. But it's a great advantage. Pick you up at your door, take you to the airport, meet you at baggage claim once you arrive back, and bring you home. Now, we also offer a home pickup credit. That means if you make your own arrangements to and from the airport, your final payment will be reduced by $100 per person. So it's a great and easy savings, especially if you share a ride with somebody. What else is new? First and foremost, we just redid our website. So if you get a chance, hop on afcvacations.com and take a look at the brand new structure. It's an easy way to get around the website and navigate through the different departures. Also, we have our new Travelers Club, and that's a great loyalty program. So if you book a 2024 tour or European river cruise, you're automatically enrolled. And if you book another tour or cruise within 18 months, that next trip is $100 off. So great and easy way to save money. Our Refer a Friend credit, this is based on referrals and telling people about AFC, and we've been a word of mouth company for a long, long time. So if you recommend a friend travel on an AFC tour, your next tour will be reduced by $100. Just make sure they mention you and bring that up in the booking process. Our early booking savings now is extended to more travelers. So if you're one of the first 20 clients on a tour, you can save up to $100 per person off that trip. If you're the 21st through 40th traveler, you save $75 off your trip. And so these are great ways to save. Easy process, just pay your final payment by check. What AFC really is about is real people and real service. So we have a special and unique group of staff that work in our office with over 130 years combined travel experience and in the industry. They look forward to assisting you, making travel easy, and answer all your questions up front. So at AFC, we also offer low-cost travel insurance, and that has a cancel for any reason benefit. Provides some security as you move closer to your departure. We're also part of the US TOA, and this is a select group of the top 50 to 60 tour operators, which are covered under a $1 million Travelers Assistance Program. But we've been in business since 1982, so 42 years of service in the travel industry. We know what we're doing. We plan these trips for years and years, and there's some great destinations that we incorporate. Starting off with some of our departures, our mystery tours are guaranteed through August, and this is pretty great. It's exciting to see. As more and more travelers sign up, these will most likely all go to guaranteed status, and most will sell out. So these are some of our 60 different mystery tour destinations, and we have fun-filled activities, and our staff is here to help you pick out the right departure for you. So if you've done one or more mystery tours with us, our team can direct you to something new. When you book, you'll be advised how to pack, the average weather of the destination, and some helpful hints in the packet you'll receive in the mail about 3 weeks prior. It has specific tabs to keep things a secret, but if you're too curious, you can choose to look. Once you check in, you'll get your boarding pass and find out where your first destination is. The tour manager will meet you in baggage claim on arrival, and over the course of the trip, they'll reveal tour components or give clues along the way. And these are trips for those who have a great sense of adventure, don't need all the details up front, and the destinations and itineraries consider the weather and the seasons. We also have an international mystery tour that is August 18th with Chris McCool. So a wonderful departure. And these are some of our most successful trips, and they do sell out regularly. Now, our Philadelphia Brandywine and Amish Country tour arrives into Philadelphia, and this is a great one hotel stay. So you get to unpack your suitcase for 5 nights and 6 days. And we start out with a tour of the city of brotherly love. That gets our trip off to a great and fun start. The tremendous National Constitution Center, which is a state-of-the-art museum and is dedicated to the study of the U.S. Constitution as part of our visit. And it has a 350-seat theater shaped in a star, and it features Freedom Rising, which is a great film that tells the story of we the people. We also incorporate the Liberty Bell along with our time at Independence Hall. And then we head out to the country, to Valley Forge, and this is where we see the Continental troops came together to form a true army in the Revolutionary War. This was also George Washington's established headquarters, so great sight to see. Now, one of the country's most beautiful botanical gardens is Longwood Gardens, and our visit lets you stroll through the conservatory, watch the fountains dance to music, and then walk through many of the 1,100 acres. Then we take off for Nemours Mansion, and we get to tour the opulent house and gardens. Both places were owned by the DuPont family and exceptional properties. Our sites include time at the Hershey's Chocolate World, and this is where you'll learn about the process of making chocolate. And we get you out on the trolley tour of Hershey and hear different stories and details about Milton Hershey's dream. The next day, we also learn about the Amish and the Amish way of life. So what it means to be a part of that community and so much more. On our tour of the Amish farmlands, we'll stop at an Amish home, sells beautiful quilts and handmade goods. And then we wrap up with a typical Amish meal with piles of chicken, mashed potatoes, and some great country cooking. But this is a wonderful program focusing on Pennsylvania and Philadelphia specifically, but wonderful tour with 8 meals included, and both departures are guaranteed. Now, this is a great couple of shots of Independence Hall in Philadelphia. This is the site where both the Declaration of Independence and U.S. Constitution were debated over, and it was actually the first capital of the United States. Here is a quick shot of Valley Forge, and this was the winter encampment of the Continental Army. It was a plateau where soldiers recovered and reunited, and over 12,000 soldiers and 400 women and children marched into Valley Forge December 19th, 1777, and began to build what essentially became the 4th largest city in the colony at the time. Now, Coastal Maine Lighthouses and Landscapes is a great program, especially summertime and into the fall. And it's a rugged, stunning, magical place that'll take your breath away. Lighthouses have dotted the landscape for years and alert sea captains and boaters of nautical hazards. Our tour gives you a chance to see a number of these lighthouses, both by water and land. And we have 2 boat cruises. The first in Casco Bay, that gets you out to see the wildlife and shoreline. And then a local lobsterman takes you out for a hands-on experience in lobster fishing. So you learn about the different types of lobster, the different tastes as well. And you'll get to see stunning harbor towns like Ogunquit and York. Ogunquit is a coastal town in the southernmost part of Maine. It's about an hour south of Portland and about an hour and a half north of Boston. But it's this beautiful small town known for its beaches and art scene. Ogunquit was named by the Abenaki tribe and means beautiful place by the sea. In Portland, we have a tour of a Victorian home called the Morse Libby House, and you'll also get to take a ride on an electric rail car. And of course, being in this region, we get to enjoy a lobster bake, and complete with entertainment and music. So wonderful experiences. We have departures from August on through October, and this is a fantastic tour. We also have an optional day trip up to the Coastal Botanical Gardens in Southport Harbor, and this is where the granite and the gardens meet the sea. So we fly in and out of Boston for this trip and get to see Fenway Park on this tour as well, which is home of the Red Sox. Now this is a quick clip of Kennebunkport, one of the 2 locations where we have hotel properties. So the next site is Portland, Maine. This is the old port and home to some wonderful food. Great little boutique shops up and down the wharf, and just some of why Portland, Maine has become so popular. But beautiful city, one of the largest in Maine, and a great stop that we incorporate. Now, Cape Cod and the islands is our most popular East Coast trip, and we fly into Boston to start this great summer and fall program. Our city tour highlights some of the most historical aspects, like Old Ironsides or the USS Constitution. Then we also see the Old State House and Boston Common. After a night in Boston, we head to the east and make a stop in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and we'll visit a replica of the Mayflower ship, along with stopping to see the Plymouth Rock. The original plantation is another great visit we've included for you, and we stay 5 nights in either Hyannis or Yarmouth, and we'll journey to a number of sites, including along the peninsula, enjoying a ferry ride to both Nantucket as well as Martha's Vineyard, and a city tour of Newport, Rhode Island, as well as the famous Breakers Mansions included, home to the Vanderbilt family in the late 1800s and early 1900s. So you can see all the different dates up top. It's a fantastic trip, and of course some great food with lobster and clam chowder from New England. But wonderful sights, including a cranberry bog on this tour. And this is the Breakers Mansion, one of the many tours that we include. It was built by one of the richest men in America, and the Breakers was a summer getaway. So between 1893 and 1895, it replaced a small wooden house. The Breakers has entertained presidents, royalty, and guests from across the world for more than 125 years, and today is visited by hundreds of thousands of people each year. And this is Provincetown, and just something really magical about this area at the tip of Cape Cod. Some gorgeous beaches, fantastic restaurants, and really great history. It's a must on any Cape Cod tour. It's included in the top 15 for Travel and Leisure magazine. And then here is Plymouth Plantation, now known as Plymouth Pawtucket. But this location is the replica of the 1627 plantation that the Pilgrims settled. You can see costumed interpreters tell of the first Thanksgiving and show you the many daily activities they actioned to make the plantation a workable home. Our next tour is our Utah's Mighty National Parks tour, and this one runs from May through October. This tour is an incredible trip that also includes time in Colorado. So even though the name says Utah, we include 2 states. We first arrive into Grand Junction, and that's where the group enjoys a welcome dinner. The next morning, we make our way to the Colorado National Monument, and the monument is part of the Colorado Plateau. It's got a great diversity of geology and wildlife, and you can oftentimes see bighorn sheep, raptors, hawks, as well as amphibians. After our visit, we stop for a wine tasting in the up-and-coming Colorado wine region of the Grand Valley AVA. And then from the tasting, we take Scenic Byway 128. It's also known as River Road, as it follows along the Colorado River. This is a 44-mile-long stretch, which forms part of the prehistoric highway, and it's an incredibly beautiful drive. We then arrive in Moab for 5 nights in Utah, and this is a great hub for adventures out into Arches, Canyonlands, and Capitol Reef, along with Monument Valley on this tour. Our time in Monument Valley, we get a Navajo guide that takes us out into the park, and we get to see these beautiful stone summits all through the valley. So here's Monument Valley. Boasts some sandstone masterpieces that tower between 400 to 1,000 feet, framed by scenic clouds that cover the desert floor. And the ancestral Pueblo settled here in 1200 BCE. So there's John Wayne over on the right-hand side, filming some old movies. And then Arches National Park. This is just about 5 miles from Moab. It's a wonderful Arches National Park going through over 2,000 arch formations scattered across the 77,000 acres. The park is a treasure trove of geologic wonders, and we get to see Delicate Arch, which is a freestanding arch widely recognized as the symbol for the state. This is Capitol Reef, and it's filled with sandstone cliffs, canyons, and bridges over the course of over 243,000 acres. It got its name from the Great White Rock formations, and those resemble the U.S. Capitol building. So it was designated a national park in 1971 and is a real unknown highlight for a lot of folks on this tour. Our California Rail Discovery, it's tours both in June as well as September and October. And this is a great trip to the heart of the bay in San Francisco. So many highlights in the city with our city tour by motor coach. We get to see Fisherman's Wharf, Little Italy, downtown, and the San Francisco Bay. Then we take you out to Muir Woods and see these beautiful coastal redwood trees. And our trip through Napa is complete with a wine tour and tasting. Then we get a one-night stay in the state capital of Sacramento, and it's called California Rail Discovery because we do take the Amtrak train up and over the Sierra Nevada mountains and make our way over to South Lake Tahoe. This is one of the most majestic lakes in the world, absolutely beautiful, and one of my favorite places to stay. So we have 2 departures for the year, actually 2 remaining. So June 5th is already sold out. So please sign up if this is a trip of interest up to Northern California. And then Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone, and Western Frontiers. This is a great national parks tour incorporating a number of different states. But we start by flying into Rapid City. And this is a great hub that hits so many different activities right around South Dakota. From Rapid City, we work our way through the Badlands National Park and experience these different geologic layers of history, different colored soils and rock that built up over thousands of years. Then we see Mount Rushmore in the day as well as the night, getting to see the illuminations experience. And we'll head north to Deadwood and learn all about the golden era of gunfights, saloon brawls, and the Wild West. That's where Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane were famous. Then it's off to see Devil's Tower National Monument, and that's pictured in the bottom right. We enter Yellowstone National Park along the east entrance from Cody and stop at the Buffalo Bill Cody Museum. And this has about 5 different parts to it, just a fantastic, fantastic museum. As we work our way through, we also incorporate a great amount of time at Old Faithful Geyser, Yellowstone Canyon, and Yellowstone Lake. So we'll do a full loop tour around the park and a number of the fountain pots and water features that make the park so special. We pass along the Grand Teton Mountains en route to Jackson Hole for a night and finish the trip with a city tour of Salt Lake City before flying home. So both departures are guaranteed, with the first one being sold out June 19th. So as I mentioned before, these trips are going quick. One of the great sites on this program is the Crazy Horse Memorial. And this is the world's largest mountain carving, sitting at 6,500 feet of elevation. And in its planning, it's supposed to be about 563 feet tall and 640 feet long. The memorial to the Lakota leader was dedicated June 3rd, 1948, with the first blast of explosives to begin the project. And as part of this trip, we also go out to Old Faithful in Yellowstone. Out of nearly 500 geysers in Yellowstone National Park, Old Faithful is just one of 6 that the park rangers can estimate when it will erupt. It's said that there is a possibility that Old Faithful may actually stop erupting someday, so make sure you see it before it does. But in the last 30 years, the time between eruptions has changed by about 30 minutes. And the Grand Tetons are a segment of the Rocky Mountains on the western edge of Wyoming. A number of the peaks extend over 12,000 feet and began to uplift nearly 6 million years ago. So these majestic alpine peaks are one of the most compact ranges in the Rockies. Our Colorado Rails National Parks tour arrives into Denver for a night, and we enjoy a welcome dinner to get acquainted with your fellow travelers. The next day, we stop in Vail for the afternoon in this beautiful resort town. And then Grand Junction is a great hub for visits to both Arches and Canyonlands, and we spend 2 nights there in Grand Junction. So Arches with its over 2,000 rock formations, and Canyonlands with Dead Horse State Point and the magical view of the Colorado River Bend. Then it's off to Silverton, and this is where we board the Silverton and Durango Railroad. And this is a one-way trip, takes us down into Durango, and we stay 2 nights in the quaint town, and then a day trip from there takes us out to Mesa Verde National Park and its ancient cliff dwellings. This is a great shot of Dead Horse State Park, and this sits at about 2,000 feet of elevation above the Colorado River, and it's at the edge of Canyonlands National Park. But the vistas are outstanding, and the river bend makes for some incredible photos. We also incorporate the Royal Gorge Railroad, and the Denver and Rio Grande and Santa Fe railroads both recognize the stretch of the Royal Gorge for its potential. They had miners coming into the area in the 1870s as gold was discovered, silver, and the two lines battled over the territory to build this amazing stretch of train tracks. So the Santa Fe line began in 1878, and the Royal Gorge Railroad offers incredible views. As you can see here, you're traveling through the canyon itself. Throughout your journey, you'll ride through what many consider Colorado's grandest canyon, and over 1,000-foot sheer rock walls on either side. Then it's off into Colorado Springs. We have 3 nights there, and there are so many great activities here. It's got something for everybody. Whether it's nature you're interested in, we visit the Garden of the Gods, which is a wonderful driving tour through this beautiful natural scenery. If you're interested in sports, our stop at the U.S. Olympic Center teaches you all about the training, or the military and the Air Force Academy. And this place is so unique and wonderful. It's got something for just about everybody. The Black Hills and Badlands, for me, is a top 5 tour that we offer, as it settles into Rapid City for 6 nights and very easy to get around the area. So June and September are both guaranteed. We also have August, which is guaranteed now, and September is actually sold out. So a lot of great features to this program. We take the Buffalo Jeep Safari through Custer State Park and see several herd of buffalo up close and safely. You'll see Mount Rushmore both in the daytime as well as the evening. And our journey to the Badlands National Park and its gorgeous colors is really a special opportunity. Our hotel is well situated right next to downtown, so it's an easy walk getting around the area. And then you check out the Crazy Horse Memorial as part of this trip as well. So some great incorporated features. And this trip runs all summer long. A couple of great features as well is the Chuck Wagon Supper that we have at Fort Hays. And this was actually the site of the Dances with Wolves movie. So a great piece of history there. And then this is Custer State Park. Now, besides the Jeep Safari, Custer State Park was a summer getaway for President Calvin Coolidge. He used what is now the State Game Lodge as his summer White House. And there are so many beautiful lakes, ponds, and amazing scenery to take in here. So along with that wonderful experience going out on the Jeeps and seeing all these buffalo, you get to take in that natural beauty. And there are over 1,000 head of buffalo roaming in the park. It really is a fantastic opportunity to learn about these creatures, both the babies that they have there as well as the adults. Then the 1880 steam train. So in 1874, miners discovered gold in the Black Hills, and that led to a greater investment in transportation to the area. And that created the Hill City to Keystone route on the 1880 steam train that we enjoy on this trip. It's a great way to see the Black Hills and learn about the early development of the region. Our Yellowstone and Wild West tour is a brand new program for us, a little bit varied from the other national parks tours. So this fun-filled 7-day program flies in and out of Salt Lake. We spend a night in Salt Lake on arrival, well, not in the lake itself. An enjoyable welcome dinner will be on arrival, and then we include a city tour that features Temple Square. That's the #1 attraction in the area. You'll also see the state capitol and the downtown stretch, and then we leave Utah that afternoon and head north to West Yellowstone in Montana for 2 nights. And this is where we get to head off for a full-day adventure of Yellowstone National Park and a wildlife safari. So a local guide will take you on a journey through some of the highlights where you have the chance to see elk, bear, bison, and more. On our day trip, we stop at Old Faithful, Yellowstone Lake, and some of the great thermal features of the park. Then we work our way back south and visit Jackson, Wyoming the following morning after a visit to the grizzly and wolf discovery. This was an amazing stop when I have done it in the past. It's a nonprofit educational center, and many of the animals at the center are unable to survive in the wild due to a number of circumstances. So during our time in Jackson Hole, we enjoy a Snake River float trip and a visit to the Museum of Wildlife Art and Elk Refuge. Our last stop brings us to Park City in Utah, and it's a great Olympic park. You'll learn all about the 2002 Olympics and the Winter Games that were held in Utah. And with only 3 dates on this program, this tour will fill up fast, as all 3 are guaranteed already. So fountain paint pots, mud pots, and geysers make up much of the thermal activity in the park. The colors are breathtaking, and the temperature of these amazing features reaches between 170 and 200 degrees Fahrenheit. We visit a lot of national parks through our tours, and Yellowstone has one of the largest collections of wildlife out of all of them. So buffalo are regularly seen in the park, as are deer and the occasional elk. And then they released about 25 wolves into the wild here in Yellowstone, and that's really balanced out the biosphere. Our Salt Lake City tour has so much included. We get to see the surrounded mountains all throughout and the Great Salt Lake. And the city offers so many great outdoor activities. Then the Alaska Call of the Wild. We experienced the last frontier by flying into Anchorage. From our first night in Anchorage, we journeyed by domed rail car. And this takes us through the forest and wilderness and up to Denali National Park for 2 nights. That's where we enjoy the tundra wilderness experience, looking for brown bear, moose, and eagle. Hopefully with clear weather, Mount McKinley or Denali is on full display. It's one of the most majestic mountains in the entire world. We head to Seward from there. That's where we take in the Kenai Fjord, pictured in the bottom here, and take a wildlife cruise in search of some humpback whales and others, and enjoy a lunch on board. That evening's at leisure, and you'll have time to explore Seward on your own, go out fishing, see the historic downtown, or explore one of the many optional tours. That land of Alaska is one of the bucket list items for most travelers, and don't miss out. We have 4 departures for the summer, and 2 are already guaranteed. So our arrival into Alaska brings us to Anchorage, and that's the largest city in the state. I'd call it the most convenient place in Alaska. It's where everybody loads up on goods and supplies before heading into the wilderness. But this is an incredible part of the area. It has big city amenities like restaurants, shops, and museums. And it's also home to the beginning of the Iditarod, which is a sled dog race that traverses the entire state. And then Seward, Alaska. It's one of Alaska's oldest and most scenic areas with its nearby Kenai Fjord and a great amount of wildlife surrounded by mountain peaks. The Alaska Sea Life Center is the state's only aquarium, and there are a number of different tours in that stretch, as well as fishing charters. So you can always go out and try your hand at salmon fishing or halibut. Also in the northwest corner of the United States is the state of Washington. And with only 1 departure on the waterways in Northwest National Parks, you don't want to pass this journey up to the northwest. I was just up there over the holidays, and they had better weather than Southern California did. On arrival, we head south for 2 nights in the Tacoma area, and that's where we take a short ride out to Mount Rainier. So we visit the tallest Cascade Mountain up at Paradise Lodge and Visitor Center, and then make our way around the Olympic Peninsula out to Port Angeles for 2 nights. That's where we take in the gorgeous Olympic National Park. Hurricane Ridge provides some outstanding views over the mountain range as far as the eye can see, getting a chance to look at these 10,000-foot peaks, including Mount Olympus. We take you on a whale watching excursion through the San Juan Islands and finish this trip with a 2-night stay in the city of Seattle. And that incorporates a great city tour and visit to Pike Place Market. So as our journey out on the whale watching experience, we board a boat from the peninsula and go out between the San Juan Island chain. So Lopez, San Juan Island orcas, and so many more. And get to see the majestic orca or killer whale. And these animals are at the top of the food chain. While there are no large sharks in Washington's waters, they can take out the king of the ocean in other parts of the world. And most of what they consume out here are salmon and other species like seals. They're just incredible shots of orca as we travel along and see the Washington State Ferry that transports people between the islands. And we take you up to the top of the Space Needle at the Seattle Center. And this gives a great 360-degree view of the city and all its different neighborhoods. On a nice day, you can even see Mount Rainier in all its glory in the backdrop. Now, while the city gets some bad press, it's got so much to offer. It's just a beautiful part of the world, especially in the summertime, and that's why our July 19th departure is so great. But we work our way through the waterfront area, get to see a lot of the different piers, restaurants, and activities. Gasworks Park is in the opposite side of Lake Union, and it's a wonderful setting as well. Or the Amazon headquarters building in downtown. It's a fun place to explore. And one of our last stops on tour is the oldest continuously operating farmers market in the U.S. The market started as a sanitary market back in 1907, Pike Place Market, and they weren't known for throwing fish back then, however. A quick insight, they only throw the fish if you buy the fish, so just wait around until somebody does. But the market's home to the oldest Starbucks, the famous gum wall, you can figure that one out, and incredible flowers brought in from the eastern side of the mountains. And these bouquets are very reasonably priced, 10 to 15 bucks a piece, but amazing flowers on offer. It's got so much else, great produce and amazing art throughout the market itself. Our Best of Chicago only has 2 departure dates. That's May 23rd, which is guaranteed, as well as August 8th. And this is a great Unpack Once tour based in the heart of Chicago at the Palmer House by Hilton. You'll spend 5 nights in the city and enjoy a city tour on day 2. That features the Willis Tower and Magnificent Mile, which is the premier commercial district of Chicago. You'll tour the historic sites of Chicago's gangsters on the 1920s and 30s, like Al Capone, John Dillinger, and more. And then that afternoon, you'll also get a chance to tour Wright's studio. That was where Frank Lloyd Wright lived and worked. Day 4 takes us out to Racine, Wisconsin, and that's where you'll visit the research and admin buildings of SC Johnson Wax. And that factory produces Windex, Glade, and a lot of other daily products. Afterwards, we see the Johnson family mansion, completed in 1939 by Frank Lloyd Wright. You'll tour Wrigley Field, which is home to the Chicago Cubs baseball team, and then take an architectural tour of the Chicago area by River Cruise. And this is where you learn about some of the unique designs of the city's buildings. You'll also get a free afternoon in the city to explore on your own, so you have plenty to go off of based off our city tours. And before returning home, you'll also get to tour the 500-acre estate of the editor of the Chicago News Tribune called Cantigny Park. So we stay at a number of different properties, but the Palmer House is our most regular, and it's one of the most historic hotels in America. Palmer House by Hilton is an incredible reflection of the 1800s. It was actually a casualty of the Chicago Great Fire in 1871, only 13 days after it was built. And it reopened in 1873 and continues its grand tradition as the nation's longest continually operating hotel. And each year, the city of Chicago dyes the river green for St. Patrick's Day. Since we're in March, I figured I'd add a picture of that. And this will occur on March 16th this year, something that a lot of folks look forward to. The architectural cruise takes in a lot of the great features of the downtown area and some of the great buildings in the downtown district. And then the Chicago Beam. This is one of the most unique sculptures I've ever seen in my life. It's centered in Millennium Park and reflects the city skyline, and it's titled Cloud Gate. It was unveiled in 2004 and became Chicago's most iconic site, but it really is a really unique sculpture there. And Cantigny Park, as I mentioned before, 500-acre estate that was handed over to the public space and became both a public outdoor space as well as the home to the first Division Museum of the Army. So Cantigny Park, named after a village in France, opened to the public in 1958, but some great garden features and a wonderful museum there. Getting into Canada in our last few slides, we have about 5 different programs throughout the summer to the wonderful neighbors up north. And this tour features ever-changing scenery and the majestic Rockies near Banff. So air travel will bring you into Calgary, which is home of the famous Stampede. You'll get to see Lake Louise as well as Glacier National Park in the vast state of Montana. And the tour also heads to Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump, which is home of the First Nations and Native American buffalo hunting grounds. You'll also experience a glacier up close in the Icefields Parkway. And then the Canadian Rockies are highlighted by Mount Robson. That's the highest peak that reaches over 13,000 feet. Kootenay National Park's also incorporated, and it's located between Banff and Yoho, and that offers amazing hot springs, beautiful hiking trails, and stunning river valleys. We head off on the Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park trip for 4 different departures. As you can see, August 5th is already sold out. We do have some space remaining June, August, and September. And this is a great shot of Waterton Lakes, one of the great national parks we visit on this tour, covering nearly 200 square miles with more than half of Alberta's plant species. And the lakes chain is one of many special features there, with the upper lake being the deepest in the Rockies at over 487 feet. Then it's off to the Icefields Parkway, the Athabasca Glacier, and this takes you on a fun trip right up next to this massive glacier. You'll travel on a massive Ice Explorer all-terrain vehicle to the glacier itself, and it's a 10,000-year-old sheet of ice where you can walk on, feel, and drink from the glacier. Our Canadian Rockies Unpack Once tour is a simplified and condensed version of the Rockies program and provides a 1-hotel stay in Banff for 5 nights and 6 days. So this program starts at $36.99 and provides much of the same touring from 1 hotel. We also include a dinner on Chateau Lake Louise, and that's just a stunning location. The tour takes you out on the Columbia Icefields Explorer and out to Emerald, Peyto, and Moraine Lakes, so a little bit of a variation. And we have trips running from July as well into later summer. So many are towards the sold out status. Please make sure if that's of interest to you, don't wait. Now, one of the most iconic sites in the Canadian Rockies is the Fairmont Hotel, Chateau Lake Louise. And we enjoy a wonderful dinner here to take in the magical lake and exceptional scenery. Then some of the tallest and most impressive mountains in the Rockies are located in Yoho National Park. And that sits below and getting to see a wonderful stretch, which is Emerald Lake. And it's named for its deep green water. It's got a glacial flow that, along with its surroundings, makes for one of the most impressive sights in the country. In the far eastern corner of Canada lies a land of ships, islands, and amazing scenery. And our Nova Scotia and the Canadian Maritimes program has 4 different dates. And the August departure is almost sold out. Only a couple of seats remain. But Nova Scotia combines incredible harbors with stories like Anne of Green Gables. We include UNESCO World Heritage sites like the area of Lunenburg and the famous Cabot Trail with its fishing villages and amazing beauty. Then we enjoy a lobster dinner in Charlottetown and a visit to Prince Edward Island and learn how life can be much slower in some parts of North America. Charlottetown has an amazing small population of about 50,000 residents, but as the capital of Prince Edward Island, it's also called the birthplace of the Confederation. The city is where the idea of the nation of Canada began, and it's also designated as the cultural capital of Canada. But we have some great trips heading out over the course of the summer with this one, and August 10th only has a few more seats. So this is a wonderful stretch of Prince Edward Island, the beautiful multicolored homes and the great lighthouses out there. And then the Cabot Trail out on Cape Breton. So a wonderful sight to see. This is a 185-mile stretch of scenery. The next program is our Great Canadian Cities. We have 3 dates on the Great Canadian Cities program that features Montreal, Quebec, Toronto, and Ottawa. And this is a great opportunity to see these wonderful city tours with locals who can describe life and experiences in this part of the world. You'll enjoy a 1,000 Islands cruise to see some of the tiny little islands that some consider the smallest inhabited places anywhere. And another great feature is to see Niagara Falls on this tour. We have 2 nights, including a boat ride to take you underneath the falls. But we'll take you out to Ottawa, Quebec, Montreal, as well as Toronto on this tour. And then we have a great farewell dinner show incorporated on this. One of the great components we include is the train ride from Montreal to Quebec City with some wonderful countryside along the way. The train takes us about 3.5 hours and is a great way to relax and enjoy the sights rather than sitting in traffic. Now, Toronto is Canada's largest city and a world leader in business, finance, technology, and entertainment. Also, if you've ever wanted to know why ketchup chips are a thing, you can ask one from Toronto as they were created there. Then we cruise through the smallest islands in North America and see all the different styles of homes, castles, and tiny little bridges that connect them. There are actually over 1,800 islands in that chain. And then last but not least is our Canadian Rockies rail journey. And this is where you get to travel through the Pacific Northwest as you arrive into Vancouver, British Columbia. This is where you stay 2 great nights. The city was named after Captain George Vancouver, and he was one of the first explorers to the region. We include a city tour of Vancouver to learn about the different neighborhoods like Chinatown and the amazing Stanley Park. We'll cross over to Vancouver Island and see Victoria, British Columbia. And the city as well as the inner harbor are wonderful stops, as is Butchart Garden. It's a stunning display of all different types of flowers, trees, and brush. Next, we board the Via Rail in our Sleeper Plus car and make our overnight trip to Jasper. We take in the magic of the Canadian Rockies with Yoho, Lake Louise, and a number of other great sites on this trip. But we have departures June 8th, July 13th, and August 17th. The only departure left with space is June 8th, so please sign up. And these are just a couple of great images of Butchart Gardens. This was actually originally a cement factory, if you can believe that. And down below you can see some of the stone that they pulled off to create that cement. It was converted into a garden and is just a stunning opportunity to see these great diversity of plant life. Then we'll take that wonderful Via Rail train over to Jasper, and the sleeper cars are a great option as we travel. Now, we also work with several ocean cruise companies which have partnered with us to provide great cruise opportunities all around the world to travelers. So even if you don't see some destinations that you're interested in on our tours, we can also work with our cruise partners to book some great destinations. Now, I always recommend Alaska, first and foremost on cruises. This is a great opportunity to see the diversity and wildlife up there. It's one of the most beautiful wildernesses in the world that still remain. And we also work with Princess Cruises. They do great departures both in the Hawaii areas as well as the Panama Canal. And this is a wonderful stretch, both eastbound and westbound. You try the different locks, whether it's the new lock or the old lock. And some of the islands outside of Panama are absolutely incredible. If you've never heard of the San Blas Islands, please take the time to look them up. They are absolutely wonderful and peaceful and quiet, but also some great culture out there. In concluding the show, we like to provide some savings to our travelers. For those attending the show, a reduced deposit for our 2024 tours or European river cruises that locks in your tour spot and pricing with $250 down if you pay for your deposit with travel protection. A $20 discount is also available on the travel protection. So travel insurance is really important while you travel. And when you pay for that with your deposit, we'll reduce it by $20. One of the great values we offer is the early booking savings. So you can save up to $200 off on European river cruises and up to $100 off most domestic and international tours. Pay by check for your final payment and be one of the first 20 to book on your tour for your greatest savings, up to $100 off those domestic and internationals. If you're the 21st through 40th traveler to book on a tour, you still save money, a little bit less, but again, it does really pay to save. Our one cabin category offer is available on both the highlights of the Douro as well as the Switzerland and Christmas markets river cruises. So what that means is you book a lower category at the lower price and you're automatically upgraded one category above it. So both the December 9th Switzerland as well as November 4th Douro river cruise are both applicable. The suites are not part of that offer though, so any category from E to A. And I always recommend people booking C or B categories and being upgraded above it. Provides a better location on the ship and better experience overall in your cabin size. So you just book by Friday, March 15th to get those savings applied and use the code SUMMER when you book. And it's very easy to book. Give our office staff a call, 1-800-369-3693. Whether it's Joe, Holly, April, or Sam, they can also really help you out, answer your questions, and make things really easy for you. You can email us, Joe, Holly, or April at afctours.com, or visit us on our website, afcvacations.com. As I mentioned, it was recently renovated, so great website and easy to get around. Just wanted to take the time to thank you all for joining us today. Really appreciate you attending the show. Again, make sure you use those offers by next Friday, the 15th. And please send any questions or feedback to April at afctours.com. Thanks so much for traveling with us, and we look forward to seeing you out on the road.